What is down, everybody? Is your main course, Little Pancake. Welcome back to another video. Today we are looking at a squid, a vampire squid that has ancestors named after Joe Biden. Oh, we'll get to that later, but for right now we're gonna look over the Wikipedia page and see what's up with this squid. Now, I've never heard of this squid before. Look at this thing. Look at that. Isn't that wild? He's a weird looking fella. Never heard of this guy before, don't know anything about him. We're learning together, and we're gonna learn a lot together, and you're gonna be able to tell people about vampire squid when we're done with this, and that's gonna be cool. You're gonna be the life of the party. Let's get into it. Alright, so here we've got the whole Wikipedia page. So let's start off with this little first synopsis of the vampire squid. Get a little taste of what to expect. The vampire squid, Vampirotheus infernalis, lit. Sounds pretty lit. Vampire squid from hell. Oh wow, okay. That's a cool name. That's like one of the coolest names I've heard in a while. Is a small cephalopod found throughout temperate and tropical oceans in extreme deep sea conditions. The vampire squid uses its bioluminescent organs and its unique oxygen metabolism to thrive in the parts of the ocean with the lowest concentrations of oxygen. It has two long retractile filaments located between the first two pairs of arms on its dorsal side, which distinguish it from both octopuses and squids, and places it in its own order Vampiromorphida. That makes sense. I don't know why I didn't catch that. Although its closest relative are octopods. As a phylogenetic relict, it is the only known surviving member of its order. Okay, that's cool. The first specimens were collected on the Valdivia expedition and were originally described as an octopus in 1903 by German teuthologist Carl Chun, but later assigned a new order together with several extinct taxa. Okay, so this is a pretty unique fella. This is the only type of Vampiromorphida, the only type that is left living. It has not gone extincto mode. Also bioluminescence. I'm sure we'll learn a little bit more about that, but that's cool, because that means they can glow, and that's dope. Discovery. The vampire squid was discovered during the Valdivia expedition, led by Carl Chun. Chun was a zoologist who was inspired by the Challenger expedition and wanted to verify that life does indeed exist below 300 fathoms, 550 meters. Chun later classified the vampire squid into its family, Vampirotheidae. This expedition was funded by the German Society. I'm not even gonna try. Should I try? Is that offensive if I try? Gesellschaft Deutscher Naturforscher und Arze. A group of German scientists who believed there was life at depths greater than 550 meters, contrary to the abysses theory. Valdivia was fitted with equipment for the collection of deep-sea organisms, as well as laboratories and specimen jars. In order to analyze and preserve what was caught, the voyage began in Hamburg, Germany, followed by Edinburgh, and then traced around the west coast of Africa. After navigating around the south point of Africa, the expedition studied deep areas of the Indian and Antarctic Ocean. That's in the 1800s. It's pretty wild that they could do that in the 1800s. Alright, now we got a description. Look at this fella. Look at that thing. That's the dorsal view and the oral view. I wouldn't want to be in that at all, you know? The vampire squid can reach a maximum total length around 30 centimeters, 1 foot. Its 15 centimeter gelatinous body varies in color from velvety jet black to pale reddish, depending on location and lighting conditions. Interesting. Black or a little red? Okay. A webbing of skin connects its 8 arms, each lined with rows of fleshy spines or cirri. The inner side of this cloak is black. Only the distal halves, farthest from the body of the arms, have suckers. Its limpid globular eyes, which appear red or blue depending on lighting, are proportionately the largest in the animal kingdom at 2.5 centimeters, 1 inch in diameter. The name of the animal was inspired by its dark color and cloak-like webbing rather than habitat. It feeds on detritus, not blood. What's detritus? In the deep ocean, marine snow is a continuous shower of mostly organic detritus falling from the upper layers of the water column. Interesting, that's cool. So it doesn't feed on blood, which is a little disappointing, I'll be honest. Big ol' eyes. Red or blue eyes. That's another thing that probably led to the vampirical, color. Because red eyes is just, that's dope. And also giant eyes. Like, the eyes are an inch. So, like, that's probably a little bit bigger than our eyes. You know? It's a foot long. So it's like the size of my head. But its eyes are the same size as mine, roughly. Maybe a little bigger. Cool. That's cool. I like it. Mature adults have a pair of small fins projecting from the lateral sides of the mantle. These ear-like fins serve as an adult's primary means of propulsion. So that's these little fellas right here. Vampire squid move through the water by flapping their fins. Their beak-like jaws are white. Within the webbing are two pouches, wherein the tactical velar filaments are concealed. The filaments are analogous to a true squid's tentacles, extending well past the arms, but differ in origin and represent the pair that was lost by the ancestral octopus. Intriguing. Tactile velar filaments. Huh. The vampire squid is almost entirely covered in a light-producing organs called photophores, capable of producing disoriented flashes of light, ranging in duration from fractions of a second to several minutes. The intensity and size of the photophores can also be modulated. Oh, that's cool. Appearing as small white discs, the photophores are larger and more complex at the tips of the arms and at the base of the two fins, but are absent from the undersides of its caped arms. Two larger white areas on top of its head were initially believed to also be photophores, but are now identified as photoreceptors. Oh, that's cool. So it's got eyes and photoreceptors. That's cool. Basically, a photoreceptor is just like, it's gonna sense light. So like, your eyes are, in a way, photoreceptors. The patch, like, if a light shines on that patch, it'll know that there's a light shining on that patch. That's cool. The chromatophores, pigment organs, common to most cephalopods, are poorly developed in the vampire squid. The animal is therefore incapable of changing its skin color in the dramatic fashion of shallow-dwelling cephalopods, though such ability would not be useful in the lightless depths where it lives. Yeah, I feel like that would be just kind of a waste of energy to change your color when you can't be seen, you know? Habitat and adaptations. Yeah, this will be cool. The vampire squid is an extreme example of a deep-sea cephalopod, though to reside at hypothic, lightless depths from 600 to 900 meters, 2,000 to 3,000 feet. That's deep. That's deep. Within this region of the world's ocean, it is a discrete habitat known as the oxygen minimum zone. Within the zone, the saturation of oxygen is too low to support aerobic metabolism, which means air-breathing metabolism, in most complex organisms. The vampire squid is the only cephalopod able to live its entire life cycle in the minimum zone, at oxygen saturations as low as 3%. So basically, the vampire squid's got a monopoly on the minimum zone. Kind of messed up. U.S. government should probably step in. Not right. The vampire squid's worldwide range is confined to the tropics and subtropics. So that's like, shing, you know. To cope with life in the suffocating depths, vampire squids have developed several adaptations. Of all deep-sea cephalopods, their mass-specific metabolic rate is the lowest. Their blue blood's hemocyanin binds and transports oxygen more efficiently than in other cephalopods. Aided by gills with an especially large surface area, the animals have weak musculature but maintain agility and buoyancy with little effort because of sophisticated staticist bouncing organs and ammonium-rich gelatinous tissues closely matching the density of the surrounding seawater. Vampire squid's ability to thrive in OMZs It'll also keep it safe from apex predators that require a large amount of oxygen to live. That's true, they kind of are the apex predator, I guess, right? Checks out. The vampire squid possesses large eyes and optic lobes, which may be an adaptation to increase sensitivity for long-ranging detection of bioluminescence and monitoring a huge water volume where density of prey and mates is low. They do got some honking eyes, protruding out too, which is cool. Like many deep-sea cephalopods, the vampire squid lacks ink sacs. Yeah, what would be the point, I guess? If disturbed, it will curl its arms up outward and wrap them around its body, turning itself inside out in a way, exposing shiny, spiny projections. So that's just sticking these little fellas out, kinda. If highly agitated, it may eject a sticky cloud of bioluminescent mucus containing innumerable orbs of blue light from the arm tips. This luminous barrage, which may last nearly 10 minutes, would presumably serve to dazzle would-be predators and allow the vampire squid to disappear into the blackness without the need to swim far. The glowing ink is also able to stick to the predator, creating what is called a burglar alarm, making this vampire squid's predator more visible to secondary predators. The display is made only if the animal is very agitated, because regenerating the mucus is metabolically costly. The vampire squid also has bioluminescent organs at the end of each of its arms, using them as a lure to attract prey. The ends of squid's arms are also regenerative. So if they are bitten off, they can be used as a diversion, allowing the animal to escape while its predator is distracted. Yo, that's cool. If you don't find that cool, I don't find you cool. Wow. So this guy's just out here swimming along, just having a chillax day, and he gets attacked, right? I'm just assuming like the angler fish from all the movies and whatnot just comes up like, all mean, like maybe a megalodon. We'll go with megalodon, that's cooler. Megalodon comes up, tries to get him. He starts by curling up, putting his arms like, and sticking his spines out, which would deter me for sure. And then if you're persistent, they spit sticky, bright orbs at you. That's freaking cool. So cool. Like, it's just like a light. Like, we think we're cool for having light bulbs, like Thomas Edison and whatnot. This dude just has light in his body. Like, he's just like, pusher, light. Oh, that's so cool. Development and reproduction. These guys strike me as freaky reproductors. Few specifics are known regarding the ontogeny of the vampire squid. Their development process through three morphological forms. The very young animals have a single pair of fins. An intermediate form has two pairs, and the mature form again has one. At their earliest and intermediate phases of development, a pair of fins is located near the eyes. As the animal develops, this pair gradually disappears as the other pair develops. As the animals grow and their surface area to volume ratio drops, the fins are resized and repositioned to maximize gait efficiency. Whereas the young propel themselves primarily by jet propulsion, mature adults find flapping their fins to be the most efficient means. This unique ontogeny caused confusion in the past, with the varying forms identified as several species in distinct families. I see how that would obscurely confuse certain individuals. But not me, of course. I would have known. Of course. If hypothesis may be drawn from knowledge of other deep-sea cephalopods, the vampire squid likely reproduce slowly by way of a small number of large eggs. Ovulation is irregular, and there is minimal energy devotion into the development of the gonad. Gonad? Really? Really, Wikipedia? You said gonad? That's awesome. Respect. Growth is slow, as nutrients are not abundant at depths frequented by the animals. The vastness of their habitat and its sparse population make procreative encounters a fortuitous event. The female may store a male's hydraulically implanted spermatophore, a satchel of sperm, for long periods before she is ready to fertilize her eggs. That's dope. That's so cool. So if a female and a male run into each other, the male's just like, here you go, and gives you a satchel of sperm, and then the female just holds on to it until she's ready to fertilize her eggs, and then she just does. That's actually genius, evolutionarily talking. Once she does, she may need to brood over them for up to 400 days before they hatch. The reproductive strategy appears to be iteroporous, which is an exception amongst the otherwise simiparous colloidea. During their life, colloidea cephalopods are thought to go through only one reproductive cycle, whereas vampire squid have shown evidence of multiple reproductive cycles. After releasing their eggs, new batches of eggs are formed after the female vampire squid returns to resting. This process may repeat up to, and sometimes more than 20 times. It has been hypothesized that the iteroporous lifestyle of the vampire squid has evolved with the squid's relaxed lifestyle, with iteroparity often seen in organisms with high adult survival rates, such as the vampire squid. Many low-cost reproductive cycles would be expected for the species. What's the lifespan? That's what I'm wondering. Hatchlings are about 8 millimeters in length and are well-developed miniatures of the adults, with some differences. Their arms lack webbing, their eyes are smaller, and their velar filaments are not fully formed. The hatchlings are transparent and survive on a generous internal yolk for an unknown period before they begin to actively feed. The smaller animals frequent much deeper waters. Interesting. Perhaps feeding on marine snow. The mature vampire squid is also thought to be opportunistic hunter of larger prey as fish bones, other squid flesh, and gelatinous matter that has been recorded in mature vampire squid stomachs. That marine snow is cool. I've never heard about that before. Just like falling debris of other dead organisms. That's cool. Reproduction of the vampire squid is unlike any other colloid cephalopod. During mating, the males pass a packet of sperm to the female, and the female accepts it and stores it in a special pouch inside her mantle. When the female is ready, she will use the packet to reproduce. The females spawn eggs in separate spawning events when she feels the necessity to produce. These spawning events happen quite far apart due to the vampire squid's low metabolic rate, meaning they take a long time to accumulate the necessary resources to spawn. This is very rare and needs further research done on it. That is so cool, though. That's such a cool, reproductive ritual, I think. Cool picture right there. It's an illustration, but that's the vampire squid. You know what I'm saying? That's what they mean when they say vampire squid, Alright, let's look at some behavior. What behavioral data is known has been gleaned from ephemeral encounters with ROVs. Animals are often injured during capture and survive up to 2 months in aquaria, although it is hypothesized that they can live for over 8 years. An artificial environment makes reliable observation of non-defensive behaviors difficult. In May 2014, Monterey Bay Aquarium became the first to ever put this species on display. That's interesting. Aquariums make me sad, I've said that before. With their long velar filaments deployed, vampire squids have been observed drifting along in the deep black ocean currents. If the filaments contact an entity or if vibrations impinge upon them, the animals investigate with rapid acrobatic movements. That's cool. I can't really see the vampire squid being acrobatic, but apparently they're capable of swimming at speeds equivalent to 2 body lengths per second, with an acceleration time of 5 seconds. However, their weak muscles limit stamina considerably. That makes sense. So they've got a good, minute of, until they give out. Reasonable. Unlike their relatives living in more hospitable climates, deep-sea cephalopods cannot afford to expend energy in protracted flight. Given their low metabolic rate and the low density of prey at such depths, vampire squids must use innovative predator avoidance tactics to conserve energy. Their aforementioned bioluminescence fireworks are combined with the writhing of glowing arms, erratic movements, and escape trajectories, making it difficult for a predator to identify multiple targets. The vampire squid's retractile filaments have been suggested to play a larger role in predator avoidance via both detection and escape mechanisms. In a threat response called the pumpkin or pineapple posture, The vampire squid inverts its capped arms back over the body, presenting an ostensibly larger form covered in fearsome-looking, though harmless, spines called cirri. The underside of the cape is heavily pigmented, masking most of the body's photospores. The glowing arm tips are clustered together far above the animal's head, diverting attack away from critical areas. If a predator were to bite off an arm tip, the vampire squid could regenerate it. Yup. Because he's regenerative, because he's cool. Feeding. Vampire squid have 8 arms but lack feeding tentacles, and instead use 2 retractile filaments in order to capture food. These filaments have small hairs on them made up of many sensory cells that help them detect and secure their prey. They combine waste with mucus secreted from suckers to form balls of food. As sedentary generalists, they feed on detritus, including the remains of gelatinous zooplankton, such as salps, larvicans, and medusae jellies, and complete copepods, ostracods, amphipods, and isopods, as well as fecal pellets of other aquatic organisms that live above. Vampire squids also use a unique luring method where they purposefully agitate bioluminescent protists in the water as a way to attract larger prey for them to consume. Vampire squids have been found among the stomach contents of large deepwater fish, including giant grenadiers. That's a cool looking fish right there, dog. And deep diving mammals, such as whales and sea lions. That's kind of wild. Relationships. Are we this into the vampire squid that we're checking out his relationships, man? Like, how's his relationship with his mom? Or his siblings? Like, you know? I don't know. We're going to find out, though. The Vampiromorphida is an extant sister taxon to all octopuses. Phylogenetic studies of cephalopods using multiple genes and mitochondrial genomes have shown that the Vampiromorphida are the first group of octopodiforms to evolutionarily diverge from all others. The Vampiromorphida is characterized by derived characters such as the possession of photophores and of 2 velar filaments, which are most probably modified arms. It also shares the inclusion of an internal gladius with other coleoids, including squid and 8-webbed arms with serrate octopods. Vampiromorphida shares its 8 serrate arms with the serrata, in which literal cirri or filaments alternate within the suckers. Vampiromorphida differs in that suckers are present only on the distal half of the arms, while cirri run the entire length. In serrate octopods, suckers and cirri run an alternate on the entire length. Also, a close relationship between Vampiromorphida and the Jurassic crustaceous Loligocepina is indicated by the similarity of their gladi, the internal stiffening structure. Vampironassa rhodanica from the Middle Jurassic La Volte-Cerrone in France is considered as one of a Vampiromorphida that shares some characteristics with Vampiromorphida. Why are there so many big words? I'm scared. Conservation status. Vampire squid is currently not in any endangered or threatened species list, and they have no known impact on humans. Oh, that's rude to just say that they don't impact us. I feel impacted by the vampire squid. I mean, he's doing stuff. He's hanging out, you know? Don't do my man dirty like that. That's messed up. Popular culture. Following an article in Rolling Stone magazine by Matt Taibbi after the subprime mortgage crisis of 2008, the term vampire squid has been regularly used in pop culture to refer to Goldman Sachs, the American investment bank. I don't know about regularly. I mean, I've never heard that. I've been around for 19 years. Real vampire squids are shown in the Ocean Deep episode of Planet Earth. Very cool. Very cool. Now, at the beginning of this episode of Little Pancake Learns Things, the name's in a work in progress, I had mentioned Mr. Joe Biden. Now, you probably do know who that is. If you live in the United States, you definitely know who that is. If you don't, you probably still do. He's a president. He's a peculiar fellow. Got a New York Times article here that discusses how he's pretty much he's got a vampire squid ancestor named after him, which is pretty dope. There's also some controversy about whether the vampire squid ancestor is actually a vampire squid ancestor. I'm not going to go into depth on that. That's kind of boring. Right, here's the article right here. This is just talking about finding the old guy, the fossil. There's the fossil right there. There's an artist rendition of the little fella. They named it Calypsomopodi bidini. I think that's I don't know. I just find that a little interesting. I was looking up some vampire squid news to see if there's anything interesting happening currently, and this was the best that I got. I don't think that the vampire squid really pops out at the party very often. I very much so get the feeling he's a loner, and you know, a loner's got to be alone. So here's some overview. This is from Fact Animal. No idea how reliable of a source this is, but this got some vampire squid facts. Lifespan 8 years. They weigh 450 grams, which is, I would guess, about a pound, maybe a little more. Predators are whales, large fish, sea lions, sharks, and humans. Top speed of 2 miles an hour. That's pretty crazy. This was supposed to be like fun facts about the vampire squid, but every fact on here was in the Wikipedia article. 2 miles an hour. That's pretty interesting. That's like their top speed, because the Wikipedia article was talking about how it was very agile and like whipping around, and then this is just like, yeah, they can go 2 miles an hour, which is like, you know, I like the vampire squid. That was a very interesting little learning experience, I think. Really cool way of reproducing. Really cool way of escaping predators. Just a cool animal. I love those, like, the deep sea animals, because like all of them got the bioluminescence stuff, which I find really cool, and they're just so like mysterious, you know. Like, there's just so much stuff we don't know about them that could change. Like, this whole thing could change tomorrow with one little discovery, you know what I'm saying? There's probably another species of vampire squid out there that we just haven't found yet. Like, I would bet that there is. Like, if I had to put money on there not being, or there are being, I would say there is. I mean, we haven't explored much of the ocean at all. Smash like if you also enjoyed this experience. I'll be using this information for sure, without a doubt, all the time. I actually probably will like talk about it to some people, because it's really cool. I'm also a little odd. That's about it, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, smash like if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and talk to someone about the vampire squid. Make their day better with the vampire squid. Why not? You know what I'm saying? Why not? Why not? Just do it. Just do what I tell you to. Thank you so much. Have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day, and I will see all of y'all later.